What's up everyone, Laura here from testprepinsight.com, and today I'm going to be comparing the language apps from Babbel and Mondly. I covered this very same topic in a video about a year ago, but since that went live, both of these companies have actually made some updates and changes to their programs. So I thought this video needed a redo. So today we're going to take a fresh look at how Babbel and Mondly compare, and I'll let you know which one I think is better. And by the way, I should mention up front here that since I'll just be focusing on the highlights in this video, if you find you need more detail at any point, you can always check our full detailed written comparison on our website. An easy way to get there is just to Google Test Prep Insight Babbel versus Mondly. Okay, so right out the gate, I want to break down how each works. This will help provide a baseline for my thoughts about these apps, which I'll get to here in a minute. Let's start with Mondly. When you first log into the Mondly app, you'll land on the dashboard, which looks like a giant map covered in geolocation pins. It's a little overwhelming at first, but each geolocation pin simply represents a collection of 8 lessons that covers a specific topic or theme. Think travel, romance, school, you get the idea. But you don't just work through these geopins one lesson at a time. They're just supplementary material you can work through alongside daily lessons, which are the baseline of the Mondly program. The dashboard walks you through a daily lesson, plus a cool countdown clock that builds anticipation by showing you how long you have to wait until the next day's daily lesson is ready. If you have extra time and want to keep going beyond your daily lesson, then you can work these thematic lessons in the geopins. Each Mondly lesson takes about 5 minutes to complete and consists of a series of hands-on rapid-fire drills. And when the lesson is over, Mondly gives you a quick recap of the vocab from the lesson in rapid fire, followed by a quick snapshot of your performance data. There are some weekly quizzes and monthly challenges, and Mondly does have some upgraded features like VR apps. But if you're talking about the core program, you just work your 5-minute daily lesson, get your little review and recap, and then you're free to knock off other lessons on the map if you want. Now, moving on to Babbel, their program is a little different from Mondly's. Rather than landing on a map where you can pick and choose what lessons to do, Babbel keeps you on a somewhat linear learning path. Every day when you log in, you'll be prompted to do a quick spaced review of old vocab you've already learned before jumping into the next lesson on the path. As for what the Babbel lessons are like, each one is generally a little longer and more comprehensive than Mondly's lessons. The Babbel lessons contain a lot of the same fast-moving blended exercises like listen and repeat exercises, digital flashcards, fill in the blanks, matching pairs, matching phrases to images, and completing mock conversations. The main difference here is that each lesson generally takes about 50 minutes to complete, which is 3 times longer than an average Mondly lesson. And part of the reason the Babbel lessons are longer is because Babbel layers grammar instruction directly into the lessons. With Mondly, there's no direct grammar instruction in the program, just quick hit interactive exercises. Babbel's lessons are a little more complete because you get the same hands-on drills plus direct teaching points around grammar. Babbel mixes in these points through direct teaching slides, as well as call-out boxes that pop up while you're finishing the exercises. From a high level, that's how the two apps compare. Both companies use rapid-fire exercises as the basis of their lessons. While Mondly lessons are a little tighter, Babbel leans on the grammar a little heavier, making their lessons a little longer. And by the way, like I said, since I'm trying to keep this a little shorter because it's a video, if you want more detail on either program's lessons, make sure to check out that full written comparison I mentioned. I'll have it linked down below in the description for you. All right, so before we get into what I like and don't like about each app, let's quickly talk cost. So Mondly has 3 different packages: a 1-month pay-as-you-go package, a 12-month subscription, and a lifetime access package. The pay-as-you-go 1-month subscription runs for around $13 a month. The 12-month subscription costs about $62 for the year. And the lifetime package is a little scattered in terms of pricing, really depending on current sales. Sometimes though, you can find that package on sale for around $120 with a coupon. Next up, Babbel has a pretty similar model. They offer 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month subscription plans, and those plans all range for around $8 to $15 per month, depending on the package and discounts. Similar to Mondly, they also have a lifetime plan, including access to all Babbel languages. This goes for $300 MSRP, but is often found for less depending on the promotion. In terms of pure pricing, Mondly is cheaper than Babbel by a few dollars per month. It's not a huge cost gap, and either way, you're probably looking at $5 to $10 per month, depending on the package, but that might be enough to make a difference for some of you. Regardless of which company you go with, I would encourage you to check for sales and coupons before buying, as we track both companies' sales calendars, and they're both almost always running some sort of deal or promotion. In fact, I'll drop any current discounts I can find floating around down in the description for you, so please be sure to check that out before buying. You might be able to save a little cash if one of these apps ends up being a fit for you. All right, so now let's get to my thoughts on the pros and cons of each app. And let's start with Babbel. So first, I want to talk about Babbel's vocab review. Both companies have review functions, but in my opinion, Babbel's is ahead of Mondly's. On the surface, Mondly's vocab review tool looks really cool. It shows a graphic of a brain lit up with little clusters of words grouped by topic. It's easy to dive in and look at old words you've learned and very sleek. However, this approach to review simply isn't practical or effective. Self-driven review with no rhyme or reason leads you to waste a lot of time covering the wrong content or not reviewing words frequently enough for them to actually register. With Babbel, everything is very purposeful. Each day when you log in, you get a spaced review. The words you're reviewing are sequenced at lengthening intervals so they stick. The second thing I like about Babbel's program over Mondly is their focus on grammar. And like I said, Mondly really shies away from the grammar. They do have verb conjugation charts, which are useful, but otherwise it's on you to pick up grammar intuitively. This sounds great in theory, especially since I know most people weren't that good at learning grammar in school, but it is a lot harder to learn grammar intuitively than you might think. In contrast, Babbel is much more holistic in covering both vocab and grammar. The reality is that you can't become proficient in a new language without these two elements, and Mondly is light on the grammar side. If all you need is vocab or you learn more intuitively, then Mondly is perfect for learning by seeing and picking up on patterns. But if you're trying to learn a new language from scratch, or you're still closer to being a beginner, you're gonna need a hefty dose of both vocab and direct grammar instruction. So if you're trying to just pick one app, you should choose Babbel. All right, the third advantage of the Babbel app that I want to talk about is lesson progression. Babbel is really good about starting with 1 and 2 word building blocks and working up from there. They bring you along slowly as a beginner, and they really focus on the fundamentals before advancing to longer sentences and conversations. However, Mondly takes the opposite approach. Rather than building up to more advanced vocab and sentence structures, they just drop you right into learning full sentences from the beginning. The first 2 or 3 pins on the map include a slight warm-up covering a few basics, but otherwise you're just tossed in. Even the first day's lesson assumes you have some working knowledge of the language. If you have any level of basic understanding of the language you're learning, you'll be fine. But if you're a complete beginner, I personally think Babbel gives you a stronger base from the start. Finally, Babbel's interface makes navigation very smooth, with dedicated practice tabs for vocabulary, listening, speaking, and grammar that are all really natural and easy to browse. My favorite feature is the Review Manager, which reinforces your learning with a smart, adaptive revision process. All right, that's where Babbel beats Mondly. Now let's switch and cover the major advantages in favor of Mondly. But before I get to that, I should mention that every single month here at Test Prep Insight, we give away a free language learning course to one lucky person. It's super simple to enter and everyone is eligible. I'll put all the details down below in the description for you. It'll take you less than 10 seconds. And hey, you never know. You could win a free subscription to Babbel or Mondly. All right, so the first highlight of the Mondly program that I want to call out is their VR feature. The virtual reality learning app lets you play out all kinds of real-world scenarios, from getting groceries to ordering in a restaurant, which makes learning feel both really fun and extremely practical. Now, this feature isn't for everyone, as you have to pay an extra one-time cost of $5 to get the VR app, and You also have to have an Oculus headset to use it. But this is such a cool immersive feature for language learning that I wish Babbel had something similar to offer. Then the next thing I want to highlight is the fun, diverse mixture of drills that Mondly uses. Babbel has a pretty decent mix of exercises themselves, but Mondly's drills are a little more diverse, which keeps things fun and engaging. Like I said, there are flashcard drills, fill in the blanks, speaking exercises, translation prompts, matching pairs, back and forth text-based dialogue, spelling drills, and a few more exercises. It's a really solid blend of hands-on drill types that makes the program much more engaging. Piggybacking off that same point, I like how fast-paced Mondly's lessons are. This can be good or bad depending on what you're looking for in your program. But for a lot of people, these short, bite-sized lessons are a nice fit. Your daily lesson takes only 5 minutes, and then if you want to squeeze in a couple more topic lessons throughout the day, those only take 5 minutes as well. In contrast, a Babbel review alone takes almost 5 minutes, and then you've still got the 15-minute lesson on top of that. So you're looking at about 20 minutes daily with Babbel. If you prefer consistent, bite-sized daily lessons over spending more time doing in-depth study, Mondly is more manageable. Anyways, that about does it for the detail in this comparison. So let's get to that final verdict. Should you choose Babbel or Mondly? Well, it's honestly a tough call because I do appreciate both apps. But if I could only pick one, I'd personally go with Babbel. Their program is more well-rounded overall with its inclusion of grammar teaching points, and I really like the overall structure better as well. They start with the building blocks and then keep you on a linear path, progressing a little every day. That being said, I do think some people might benefit from Mondly a little more, specifically if you already have a foundation in the language you're learning, or you're looking for shorter, more bite-sized lessons each day. In either case, Mondly might be a good fit, but if you're starting from scratch or starting over and have time for 15-minute lessons, I would go with Babbel. I'm a big fan of their app. So that's all I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found the video helpful. Make sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Don't forget to check out our website at testprepinsight.com, plus the rest of our YouTube channel for more language learning reviews and comparisons. Best of luck, and we'll see you in the next one.